Welcome back to the Sharing English podcast, where we explore stories from the English-speaking world, spoken slowly and clearly for curious English learners like you. Let's get started. Hi everyone, it's your host, Freya. Every year on May 5, people across the United States celebrate Cinco de Mayo with parties, food, and music. But here's a question. What are they actually celebrating? If you ask the average American what Cinco de Mayo is all about, many won't know. Or they might say, incorrectly, that it's Mexico's Independence Day. In today's episode, we're going to explore the real history behind Cinco de Mayo, how it's celebrated in Mexico compared to the United States, and why those differences exist. Let's start with the basics. Cinco de Mayo simply means May 5 in Spanish. It refers to a specific historical event that took place in the 1800s. Cinco de Mayo commemorates the Battle of Puebla, which took place in 1862. At that time, Mexico was facing an invasion from France. The French army was one of the most powerful in the world, and many people expected them to win easily. But Mexican forces, led by General Ignacio Zaragoza, achieved an unexpected victory in the city of Puebla. This battle did not end the war, but it became a powerful symbol of resistance and national pride. Now here's an interesting connection for those of you learning about history in English. At the same time, in the United States, the country was in the middle of the American Civil War. So while Mexico was fighting French forces, the United States was dealing with one of the most important and difficult periods in its own history. And just to be very clear, Cinco de Mayo is not Mexico's Independence Day. Mexico celebrates its independence on September 16. So how is Cinco de Mayo celebrated in Mexico? The answer might surprise you. It's not a major national holiday. Instead, it is most strongly celebrated in the state of Puebla, where the battle took place. There, people may participate in parades, historical reenactments, and local celebrations that focus on the history of the event. In much of the rest of Mexico, the day is relatively quiet. So while it is an important historical moment, it is not widely celebrated across the entire country. Now let's shift to the United States. Cinco de Mayo became more widely recognized there through Mexican-American communities. There's a long history of Mexican migration to the United States, especially in the southwestern regions. As these communities grew, they brought their traditions, culture, and history with them. Celebrating Cinco de Mayo became one way to maintain cultural identity and to honor Mexican heritage. So for many people, especially within Mexican-American communities, the holiday has real meaning and significance. Over time, Cinco de Mayo expanded beyond those communities. It became more widely known across the United States, especially through media, marketing, and business promotion. Restaurants, bars, and brands began to promote the holiday, and it gradually became a popular social event. As this happened, the meaning of the holiday also began to shift. Today, in the United States, Cinco de Mayo is often celebrated with Mexican food, music, festivals, and social gatherings. For many people, it's simply a fun day to get together and enjoy Mexican-inspired culture. And for some, it's also a way to appreciate Mexican traditions, even if they don't know all the historical details. At the same time, misunderstandings are very common. As I mentioned earlier, many Americans either don't know the origin of Cinco de Mayo or confuse it with Mexico's Independence Day. This confusion is widespread, and it shows how a holiday's meaning can change as it becomes more popular in a different cultural context. This brings us to an important part of the conversation. For some people, especially within Mexican American communities, Cinco de Mayo is about culture, history, and identity. For others, it has become more commercialized. Sometimes that can include simplified or stereotypical representations of Mexican culture, things like costumes or imagery that don't reflect the full richness and diversity of the culture. This doesn't mean that people shouldn't celebrate, but it does show how traditions can change when they move between cultures. And it highlights the importance of understanding where those traditions come from instead of appropriating those cultural traditions. Cinco de Mayo is a great example of how culture travels and evolves. It also shows why learning the history behind a celebration can deepen our understanding and appreciation of it. For English learners, it's also a reminder that language and culture are always connected. Let's go over a few useful words you might have heard today. Heritage means your cultural background. Commemoration refers to remembering or honoring an important event. Misconception is an incorrect belief. And tradition, a custom or way of doing things over time. So to wrap up, Cinco de Mayo began as a specific historical event in Mexico, but it has taken on a different role in the United States. Understanding both perspectives helps us see the bigger picture. Now I'm curious, had you heard of Cinco de Mayo before? How is it understood or celebrated where you live? Let me know. Thanks for listening to the Sharing English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share the podcast with a friend who's also learning English. You can find out more about me and the podcast at our website, www.sharing-english.com. New episodes of the Sharing English podcast are available weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, let me know, what topics are you interested in hearing more about? Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep sharing English.